Shall I post it as soon as you pass down there?
18. Go for
He won Teacher of the Month in December 2024. Let that sit for a second. A framed certificate, probably. His name on a Facebook post. His students, teenagers cramming for SATs, kids trying to get into college, probably clapped for him. Maybe somebody brought a cake. Cole Tomas Allen, 31, Torrance, California, mechanical engineer by training, Caltech class of 2017, Masters in Computer Science, finished just last year, part-time tutor at C2 Education, indie game developer on the side. He had a game on Steam called Boredom, selling for $1.99. On LinkedIn, he described himself as a mechanical engineer and computer scientist by degree, independent game developer by experience, teacher by birth. Teacher by birth. That's the thing about Cole Allen that nobody will be able to shake loose for a long time. He wasn't some dropout. He wasn't some drifter living out of a Nissan Xterra like the last man who tried this. He was educated, credentialed, calm enough to stand in front of a room of teenagers every day and explain things clearly. And the whole time, something else was being built inside him, quietly, methodically, the way an engineer builds things. His sister knew. She'd been watching it for years. She told investigators he had a tendency to make radical statements and constantly reference a plan to do something to fix the issues with today's world. Not once, not twice, constantly. But here is the thing about family. When someone you love starts saying dark things, you tell yourself it's just talk. You tell yourself he's just frustrated. You tell yourself people say things they don't mean. You do not always call the police. You do not always imagine that the next time you hear his name, it will be coming out of a television set. Cole Allen joined a group called the Wide Awakes. He started attending No Kings protests in California. He acquired firearms, a .38 caliber semi-automatic pistol in October 2023, a shotgun in August 2025, and he started going to the shooting range, regularly, consistently, training. An engineer doesn't buy equipment he doesn't intend to use. By early 2026, the radical statements had stopped being statements. They had become a plan, and the plan had a specific shape, a specific target list, a specific venue, a specific date. He was going to Washington. He chose a train, not a plane, a train. Los Angeles to Chicago, Chicago to Washington, D.C. It took days. Think about that. Days on a train crossing the country, weapons packed in his bag, the plan fully formed in his mind. He wasn't running toward something in a panic. He was traveling toward it deliberately, the way you travel toward something you've decided is necessary. He checked in to the Washington Hilton on Friday, April 24th, one day early. Reconnaissance, perhaps, or simply the patience of a man who had already decided the outcome. The hotel had a history he may or may not have known about. In 1981, a young man named John Hinckley Jr. stood outside this exact building and fired 6 shots at President Ronald Reagan. Reagan survived. The building survived. The annual dinner kept coming back, year after year, decade after decade, as though the address itself had forgotten what it once witnessed. It hadn't forgotten. It was just waiting. White House Correspondents' Dinner is Washington's most theatrical annual ritual. 2,300 guests in black tie, journalists and politicians sharing the same room, celebrities mixed in, everyone performing a version of civility that the rest of the year rarely allows. It is the kind of event that feels, from the outside, like it couldn't possibly be real. This year was different. This year, for the first time as a sitting president, Donald Trump was attending. He came with Melania. J.D. Vance was there. The entire senior cabinet assembled in a subterranean ballroom beneath a commercial hotel in central Washington. The American line of succession concentrated in one room, separated from the street by hotel walls and metal detectors. The security was layered. Magnetometers, Secret Service, TSA, ticket checks, volunteer screeners, multiple perimeters. It was, by every official measure, a secured event. But security has seams. When the president is seated and the guest list is complete, the outer magnetometers come down. There is no longer any reason to keep them up. The logic is sound. The timing on this particular evening was everything. Cole Allen knew this, or he had studied it, or he had guessed it, or the engineer in him had simply mapped the system and found where the gap would open. He moved from his hotel room through a stairwell down to the terrace level, weapons in a bag. He timed his approach. He waited for the moment the magnetometers were being disassembled. And then he ran. Surveillance footage posted to Truth Social by Trump himself within hours of the incident shows Allen sprinting past security officers, some of whom reach for their weapons as he blurs past. He is shirtless in the footage, a detail that would later be explained. Officers removed his shirt to search him for weapons and wounds after he was taken down. But in the moment, on that tape, he looks like a man who has shed everything that was slowing him down. He fired. 1, maybe 2 shots. A Secret Service uniformed officer absorbed a round in his bulletproof vest and did not fall. The officer fired back 3, maybe 4 rounds and missed in the chaos. Allen was tackled to the ground before he reached the ballroom. Inside, 5 loud bangs reached 2,300 people in formal wear. They dove under tables. Secret Service agents swarmed the room. Melania, Vance, the cabinet, everyone moved at once in the practiced choreography of people trained for exactly this.
10 minutes before he ran. That is when Cole Allen sent the note to his family. While he was still upstairs, while the dinner was still going, while 2,300 people in their finest clothes were laughing and clinking glasses 1 floor below him, he sat down and sent a message to the people who knew him best. He called himself the Friendly Federal Assassin. Read that again. Friendly. That word was chosen. It wasn't accidental. In his mind, the mind of a man who had spent years building toward this moment, who had crossed the country by train to get here, who had trained at a shooting range and assembled a ranked target list. He was not a killer. He was a corrective. He was performing a difficult but necessary service with sincere regrets about the inconvenience it would cause. Let me start off by apologizing to everyone whose trust I abused, he wrote. I don't expect forgiveness. He outlined his targets, administration officials ranked from highest to lowest. He expressed rage at Trump administration policies. He referred to Trump as a traitor. He noted curiously that FBI Director Kash Patel was not on his list. He described the hotel's security as disappointingly lax. He had expected more. He wrote about his expected rules of engagement with the clinical precision of someone who had been thinking about this for a long time. His brother received the note in New London, Connecticut. He called the police at 10:49 p.m., roughly 2 hours after the shooting had already ended. 2 hours. That gap between the note arriving and the call being made, between family concern and official action, is one of the most quietly devastating details in this entire story. Not because the brother did something wrong. He may have needed time to understand what he was reading. He may have been in shock. He may have prayed it wasn't real. But Cole Allen had already calculated that gap. He knew how long it would take. He sent the note when he did because he knew no one would move fast enough to stop him. The engineer had run the numbers.